this is a win and in to day 2. The winner of this match will head to day 2. The loser will not be playing in the tournament. As you can see, both of our opponents are at 4-1-1.
Yeah, that unintentional draw really, really hurting them here and making this, as we say in the business, a losing out.
A losing out, indeed. All right, well, we've got top lands from both players. An Emeria of the Sky Ruin from Jody. A Meticulous Archive was fetched for a Surveil one from Michael Nguyen. We'll see what he finds and how this game kicks off.
I was just going to prepare the viewers with what's happening here. I imagine, given the 2 decks involved, that what we're about to see is a very, very long match. I don't expect any of these games to end quickly. I expect there to be a lot of turns of kind of, punching back and forth, no one really getting a clear advantage. Resources really going to matter. So what I would say is strap in.
Absolutely. It's our last match of the night, but there's going to be plenty of magic for you to watch here in this game. White Orchid Phantasm, targeting his own Flagstones of Trocaire. A bit of mana ramp from this mono white deck.
Yeah, and I wonder how much Jody Keith does this. I mean, obviously, one of the nice things about this card is it can give you a shot in some tough combo matchups, such as Belcher, that your deck isn't really built to handle. But another fact about it is, well, it can be ramp. It can attack for 2. It can even destroy problematic utility lands, such as Arena of Glory in a pinch.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite the little card.
Yeah. All right. Well, a cool addition to this Martyr deck from the most recent Modern Horizons set. We're finding some lands, developing our mana. Let's see how Michael responds.
And it's nice to get the Lush Portico here as well. Obviously, both these land searching effects do cause an interplay tapped, but you can get any planes, and Lush Portico is a planes.
All right, it sure is. Let's see if we can have a powerful start from our dress down player, maybe an end of turn dress down into one of those threatening permanents, or if we're going to take it more slowly and develop in a different way.
Yeah, and I was, as I was mentioning beforehand, I don't think Michael's going to be that excited to get Phlage down in this matchup, just because I think Jody Keith is pretty good at exiling and has plenty of ways to trade for it. Now, obviously, if that's what his hand has, he might still do it, but it's just not the back-breaking play it would be in a normal matchup. A Null Drifter is really where it's at. That's the must-have card, and the card advantage is very relevant.
Yep, so here's the end of turn dress down, draw a card. Notably, could have done that in response to the white the White Orchid Phantasm to stop the ramp, but did not do that.
Which means he's definitely scamming something into play.
Yep.
It's guaranteed. And there's no way he wouldn't if he didn't have it.
Absolutely. We've got some weird basics, but I believe that's an island and a mountain that you're seeing on Michael's side of the battlefield. All right, dress down is in. What is coming out? It is a Null Drifter. There it is. Evoked, but because of the dress down, it will not be sacrificed, and you get to draw 2 cards because of the cast trigger.
Yeah, and this is really the sauce, Michael, because this demands answer Jody Keith. He cannot afford to be sacrificed with permanent every turn, even though he can pretty easily afford to be taking 4 damage every turn. And those 2 cards are huge. I mean, imagine Jody Keith ends up solituding this. Well, okay, his opponent still got 2 cards off it. The dress down cycled. That's a great exchange.
Yep. Here, though, it's the One Ring. The powerful card from the Lord of the Rings set has hit the battlefield for Jody Keith. He's going to start drawing cards. Man, mono white with all this card draw and this land ramp? Wow. Where are the color pie truthers at?
Yeah, this is quite the little deck. And I mean, the One Ring, not with my unfortunate agent here, is going to be a huge problem for Michael. I mean, look, one of the problems with control decks, basically since the One Ring has released, is that if your opponent gets it going, it's really bad for you. And I think Jody Keith will, in no time at all, be able to finance with this Null Drifter and pull ahead.
Yep. Here we see our first Annihilator 1 trigger of the game. Jody's choosing to keep his mana and sacrifice his White Orchid Phantasm. What do you think of that choice?
I think it makes sense. I think if the game is going to go really long and you're going to have a lot of card access, number of lands in play starts to become an important variable. And I think it makes sense for Jody to preserve that rather than preserve a fairly irrelevant body. I mean, he's not going to win this game by attacking that or affect him 10 times, probably.
Yeah.
Another factor about preserving lands here is, well, we can see Jody Keith does control Emeria the Sky Ruin. So at some point, he will get enough lands into play to start recurring a creature every turn of the game, which is pretty powerful, especially against a control deck that isn't very good at answering lands. And by keeping that land, he does make that happen 1 turn faster.
All right, here we see an answer for the One Ring in the form of Leyline Binding.
Any fungi in the chat?
Oh, fungi could bring that ring back. Let's see if Jody has found that new addition from Duskmourn. A cool new addition to Bant Martyr.
This is quite the deck that he's playing. I mean, you say that as though Bant Martyr has some established lists that everyone knows about. I mean, it's more like most people don't play Martyr because, I don't know, it's a very weird and not that good deck. But Jody Keith is a master of the archetype and wins it all the time. So I'm just going to choose to believe that given that Jody Keith put the Insidious Fungus in his deck, that now is stock. I think Jody probably defines stock as far as Martyr lists go.
Absolutely. Well, if you want to get into playing Martyr in Modern, you are at the right place, watching the master at work with this Bant Martyr deck. There's the Fungus!
Oh, man. All right.
Fungus has hit the board. We're going to see the One Ring again. Michael, consider his options in response to this Fungus. You know, I loved playing this card in Duskmourn Limited. I was a big fan of Insidious Fungus. Thrilled to see it hit the battlefield here in Modern of all formats.
So I'm going to clarify something because it's come up in the chat. It is true that Annihilator works just fine through protection and everything. Yep. Because Annihilator does not target, it's just the player being attacked sacrifices. It's not like you choose an opponent to sacrifice, and therefore it does not care that you protection from everything.
Yep.
The Eldrazi are above such matters. So yeah, nothing erroneous has happened here.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, we're going to see that Fungus sacrificed right away to bring back the One Ring, and Michael just has to let his 2 mana do nothing for him as we move to turn 5, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's another attack, another Annihilator trigger. One of planes down.
Yeah, this is an absolutely wild game. I mean, we've seen Jody Keith with what must be one of his best draws, turn 3 One Ring off White Orchid Phantom. While on the other hand, Michael has one of his best draws in terms of turn 3 Null Drifter that has stuck and he's annihilating Jody every turn.
And a One Ring on the other side of the battlefield. Both players drawing cards. This is resources are going to be flying here in this round 7 win and in match.
Yeah, an important aspect of this situation that I want to highlight here is look carefully at Michael's lands. I believe that is a triome of green, white, black there.
Okay.
So I think Michael does have all 5 colors then, because he's green, white, black, blue, and red, I believe, in play. I think that is a basic mountain.
That is a basic mountain, yes.
So it is true that if Michael had Leyland Binding here, he could have bound the One Ring in response to the activation for 1 mana, or bound the One Ring on his turn for 1 mana.
Yeah.
So Jody now knows that there is no Leyland Binding, that Michael does not have that card. Now, what will she do with that information? I'm not exactly sure. It might mean, for instance, that he values something like Insidious Fungus less on this Night Videos because he knows that Leyland Binding is coming. It might mean that Jody does not have to, can focus on removing the Null Drifter because he knows that his One Ring is not in danger. I'm not sure, but I think it's definitely an important note, and I think Jody definitely picked up on it.
Yep. Here's that Ranger Captain of Eos going to pick up a 1-drop out of the deck. Maybe the namesake of the deck, the Martyr, maybe something else. Although
maybe nothing.
Maybe nothing, as that triggered ability is going to be countered by a consign. Here's another White Orchid Phantom. I imagine with this deck's ability to play and bring back its creatures, running Michael out of basics is a real plan for Jody Keith here.
Agreed. And especially running him out of these weird non-basics is very possible because, look, Michael does not have that many triomes with weird types in his deck to enable binding. It's typical that Jeskai decks will only have, 1 or 2 of these, maybe 3 in some weird lists. Mm-hmm. So if he runs out, his bindings will just cost a bunch of mana for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And that's an advantage that can really add up.
Absolutely. So the players don't know, but these, I think these are all of the basic lands in Michael Nguyen's deck. All 3 are on the battlefield. So any future White Orchid Phantoms will just be Stone Rain effects.
Wow. I mean, might be big here.
Yeah.
God, this is going to be a very strange game.
So that Ranger Captain of Eos, it can sacrifice to stop Michael Nguyen from playing any non-creature spells for the turn, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, that's correct. It's not clear to me that is important.
Okay.
But you are definitely right. That is what it does. Because, okay, it's not like this is Storm or something where your opponent might start comboing, invest some rituals, and then you stop them. It's like, what are you really stopping,
Yeah, interesting.
Like, you could stop them, like maybe there's a key turn when you have lethal on the board, you stop them for Supreme Version, but, we're playing Martyr.
Right.
Like, is that really a realistic scenario? I don't think Jody's going to get that much value of the card. Now, it's not a bad card in the matchup, of course. Just as a 3-mana 3/3 to get some value finds you a useful 1-drop. But I don't really foresee the sacrifice mode coming up too much.
Yep. And we just talked about Jody being able to remove Michael's lands. Michael is still removing Jody's lands with these Annihilator triggers.
Oh man!
Null Drifter keeps on drifting through and taking a bite out of Jody's mana base here.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder if Jody's running a bit cold here because he's not found a way to answer this Null Drifter left. I mean, I guess looking at the deck list, maybe there are just the 4 Solitudes to do it, but he's drawn a lot of cards to not find a Solitude.
Yep, there are 2 Supreme Verdicts, although we actually don't have any blue mana. So it could be that he has one of those verdicts, but can't deploy it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's also true that, you know, he, for at least some of the turns here, he might not have wanted to wipe away his own creatures. Although, granted, if he had Verdict and a blue source this turn, he certainly would have gone for it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Haywire Might is being found off this Ranger Captain of Eos. The last one didn't get to search, you may remember, because of that consigned to memory. Let's see if Jody has a land so he can play it and get rid of Michael's The One Ring.
I mean, I have to imagine he does because he's a million cards, but if he doesn't, I mean, that would be pretty brutal because he's also losing lands on the regular to the Null Drifter.
Absolutely, and it's a tap land, so it's another Emeria. But we seem to have finally found a Solitude. Let's see if that'll resolve. It does not. Where the triggered ability is countered. So Null Drifter is sticking around.
You know, and when we started this match, I did say that I didn't think we'd see Consign used that much for its counterspell mode in this matchup. And Michael is really proving me wrong.
Yeah.
He's now used it to stop the search on the Knight Errant of Eos. He's also using it to stop this Solitude trigger, which is a massive swing. The card is looking pretty good. And I think this card is a really good example of how even just kind of normal effects have been really pushed to MX3. Like, this card is clearly designed as a sideboard card, a check on kind of Eldrazi supremacy, but it ends up doing so much and being so versatile that some people even may make this card in small numbers outside of decks that have this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome to Modern in 2024, folks.
Yeah, where the cards are made up and the points don't matter. All right.
Yeah, the life points definitely don't matter.
I mean, Jody is at 9 here.
That's true.
Like, I assume at some point he will play Martyr and start gaining it all back, and this will become irrelevant, but for the time being, his likelihood at least has the appearance of being a threat.
Yep. All right.
Okay, so we're going to cut to us for a moment here, because what's about to happen is we're a little ahead of the game, so we know what's going on. There is a judge call, I believe, on the question of whether Arena of Glory was exerted.
I see.
Is I believe the... Sorry?
It's...
Okay, there's a judge call regarding whether the ring has been used. I apologize.
Yes.
So anyways, the players are going to try to figure that out. We're going to cut ahead for you to avoid watching a judge call in progress, which is very boring for everyone involved in general.
Look, this match is going to be long enough with just the players playing normal Magic. I don't think we need to sit around and see how this judge call resolves itself.
Yes.
But while you're with us here in the booth, one more reminder. My name's Greg. This is Andrew. We're your casters for the day, and it's great to be along with you on this ride through our final match of the night.
Yeah, it might cease to be a ride and start to be a slog at some point during this match, but we'll see. You know, I mean, we're 6 turns in the game. It's still anyone's game for sure. Advantage bar firmly planted in the center. So gonna see how that goes. But all right, so I think we are now cut past all of that judge call, and we will take you back into the action.
Also, that's a lot of confidence that it's turn 6. I know there are 6 lands on Michael's side, but
yeah, I'm not that confident.
It looks like Jody did end up finding a Solitude to answer that Null Drifter, and the ring is going to be active.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I don't remember if I did or not, but it's okay. He's shuffling in his deck, right?
All right, wow, a powerful resolution. So what actually happened is Jody wanted to respond to the ring draw by using the Solitude, I assume, but Michael went and drew the cards too quickly, and then it had that speed action caused what we sometimes call in Magic the Thoughtseize fix, where Jody Keith got to look at Michael's hand and remove 3 cards of his choice. A huge swing.
I think Well, yeah, depends on how many cards he picked up. It might only be one
Oh,
card.
okay.
But yeah, regardless, he got to, kind of Thoughtseize Michael's hand because of the early draw. But anyways, it's all resolved now. We're back into the action. And Michael's still got a full grip of cards here. So
Both players have a full grip of cards.
Yeah, I mean, the ring fights honestly get really weird.
Yeah.
Because you might think like, oh, we're fighting over the ring, so what I should try to do is answer their ring that I'll have ring-like supremacy. But it's not quite that simple. Because there's an issue where if your opponent's drawing a lot of cards with the ring, and the ring is legendary, it's not unlikely they found a new ring. So then you have to ask, well, like, do I want their ring to go back down to the lower number? That will decrease the number of cards they draw, but now they're not taking damage anymore. Now, maybe for Jody, that's still good. Maybe Michael still does want to that ring. But from Jody's perspective, maybe it's fine for Michael to keep this ring at this point. I don't know.
Yep. And I gotta be honest, I have no idea what that card is. Is that a Solitude?
I think it's a Solitude.
Okay.
But I'm definitely not like sure.
Oh, and it was exerted.
Yeah. So what I believe just happened is Michael exerted Ring of Glory, played Solitude, exiled the opposing knight, and attacked with Solitude.
Yeah.
So pretty good turn for Michael on the whole there. Now, again, of course, none of these individual plays are decisive. This is going to be a match where each player makes a lot of decisions, and it's more going to be about who makes more decisions correctly than any given decision, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And look, I know Jody Keith's deck is capable of gaining a lot of life, but he is at 3 with a ring with 4 counters. If he does not do something about his life total soon, this game will not be going on much longer. Of course, the namesake of his deck, Martyr of Sands, could have something to say about that.
Well, yeah, but this is going to put Michael in a pretty interesting position. So let's say you're Michael. Jody Keith just casts Martyr on his turn. That's the first play.
Sure.
All right. Do you counter it? On the one hand, he might just die. Like, it might just lose to his own ring. That might be game. On the other hand, it's possible that Jody has built up multiple Martyrs in hand and is actually waiting for this kind of lethal turn to sort of bait Michael into a counter. I think that would make a lot of sense and is well within Jody's range as a player.
Absolutely.
So if I'm Michael and I have counterspell here, I'm not sure what I would do.
All right. It's going to be a new The One Ring. Refreshing the counters, giving protection, allowing Jody to stall. Another land comes down. This is another Flagstones of Trocaire. And let's see the follow-up.
He's really thinking it through. Maybe we know he has Haywire, right? So it could be that.
That's true.
Could be the Martyr to try to restore that life total. Obviously, Jody's safe for this turn, but having that additional life points will matter a lot next turn.
Yep. This is a big turn. It's felt like there have been a lot of choices in this game. They've all really added up, and I think this is our real first inflection point here. How does Jody tackle this turn as his life total has gotten a little precarious? All right, we've got another card.
I'm not sure what that is.
It costs 2.
Oh, it's another. Okay.
Oh.
Wow. Jody's really making it hard on us by using a mix of White Orchid Phantoms in his deck. I know he is for the card, but I didn't realize there was an art split. That is not noted on the deck list we have access to. But yes, this will be a strange art White Orchid Phantom.
Yep. Oh, and a dress down will stop the trigger there. It's unclear if Jody was going to target his own flagstones or finally take one of Michael's lands, as all the basics are in play, but we'll never know because that didn't happen. You saw Michael also very carefully drawing his cards, not wanting another judge call situation after what happened last turn. 4 fresh cards off this One Ring. Let's see what they are and what Michael is going to do with them.
Yeah, now one downside of this return play is that Michael is now not have that scam element ready to roll with his various creatures. He has chosen to expend to preserve his mana advantage, which, to be clear, when you have tons of cards, more mana is very good. But there is a cost to that. Now, if he wants to Phlage, it will be sacrificed. If he wants to Null Drifter, it will either be sacrificed or cost 7. And looking at his hand, I don't think he has one of those consigns or another dress down to combine with his creatures.
Yeah. Also, I want to point out something. Jody might have learned something from that interaction. It's a closed deckless tournament. Jody might not have gone after Michael's lands because he might not have known that Michael was down to his last basics. But seeing Michael really fight over that White Orchid Phantom might give Jody a little bit of information that he can start going after lands safely and that's something Michael needs to avoid.
Yeah, definitely agreed. I think Jody will definitely pick up on that. Jody, honestly, as a player, I think is kind of known for his sort of psychological game in general. I think he's going to pick up on that 100%.
Yeah, and you can see that at play. He's sitting back. His hand is kind of face down, weirdly covering up his lands. He is in. He knows that he's in for the long haul, and he's just kind of hanging out, showing his 7 cards. Your move, Michael. What do you got? And Michael, as we know, has an abundance of options, but is just gonna pass the turn. Plenty of instant speed interaction in this Jeskai dress down deck. So we'll see, and no reason to attack, given that Jody has protection from everything.
Yeah, and I think passing here makes enough sense for Michael. What he might be imagining something like, all right, my opponent is at 2. If I can stop him from gaining life exactly this turn, I will be able to find a way to finish the game between Phlage, Solitude, attack, etc.
Yeah.
So the question is, do I have enough sort of counter magic and stack interaction to stop these martyrs from coming to pass? Because again, if you're Michael, you have no idea how many martyrs Jody does or does not have in his hand.
We know about the Haywire Might. That does gain 2, which would put Jody up to 4.
That's true. Now, that's not a flawless solution, since Mike could still like clear the blocker, attack with Solitude, and have Phlage, or even potentially Phlage, flashback Phlage, something like that. But it would be a start at least.
Yep. And here's another Ranger Captain of Eos. Is it finally time for Martyr of Sands to hit the battlefield? There's a Martyr of Sands. There she is.
And look at this ordering by Jody Keith. We in the booth know that Jody Keith has another martyr in his hand.
Yeah.
But he's, of course, choosing to play the knight first, so that Michael doesn't know that. And that way, Michael will be much more inclined to fight over the martyr he's tutored for, and then the second martyr will resolve.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Also could force it through by activating this this Captain of Eos.
That's true. I mean, I don't know if he's that desperate, but it's definitely an option. You're right.
Yeah. Can you remind me the Oracle text of Martyr of Sands?
All right, so it's a 1-mana 1/1 creature.
Yep.
It has 1 sacrifice. Reveal any number of white cards from your hand. You gain 3 life per white card you revealed this way. So what this means is, Jody has a massive hand, as you can see.
Yeah.
If he sacks the martyr, he is going to surrender that information. Michael will know roughly his entire hand.
Yeah.
He will also gain on the order of 20 life.
Okay.
It might be more than 20. 20 might be conservative.
Sure.
I don't know how many cards he has there. He might have like 8 or 9.
And they're probably all white.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's maybe a Haywire Might mixed in there, but
yeah,
they're at
that's
least
true.
predominantly white. So.
Oh yeah, they're discussing number of cards. But yeah, there's the Martyr of Sands, and there are actually only 2 in Jody Keith's library.
Well, yeah, I think the idea is something like he can tutor for them when he needed. He has so much recursion for them. There might be 2 on paper, but in practice, Martyr will be activated a lot in most games.
Yeah.
And I think Jody did take your line of sacking the Knight Errant of Eos here to
Yep.
force through those martyrs, saying like, look, I think I'm winning this game. I think my Marry the Sky Ruins are going to take over pretty quickly here.
Yep.
I think what I do is guarantee my survival, even at the cost of small value.
Yeah, I will point out it's only 3 planes on Jody Keith's
Is that a
side.
fact version?
You know what that one is?
I don't.
That is fact or fiction.
Oh, it's like the promo art?
I think it's from a Commander deck or one of the Lord of the Rings sets, maybe. But that is an old school classic Magic the Gathering card, fact or fiction. A one-of in Michael's deck. Let's see how Jody makes his piles.
Yeah, you
This
don't
is
see that every
nice.
day.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I think the most surprising thing to me, honestly, is the choice to have fact fiction over Memory Deluge. Which is a card
Okay.
people sometimes play as like a one-of in these modern control decks. I don't know if Michael's doing that out of some sort of nostalgia and love of the card, or he believes that there's a strategic reason to choose Voth over Deluge. But either way, I respect the choice.
Yeah, you're saying that the correctness of whether or not to put this card in the deck, you're saying you're not sure if it's fact or if it's fiction.
Yeah, I would say it's more fiction.
But I don't know. It's that's 5 spells I think that have been flipped up for Michael Nguyen. He takes the bigger pile. We know he has a backup ring already.
Yes, I mean, I do appreciate him really using the ancient wisdom on the card, which is, you know, your opponent does make their piles they want, then no matter what piles they made you, so always pick the bigger one. Definitely how the card was played in ancient times.
Yeah, absolutely. And welcome to those tuning in from the VML, which is concluded for the night. We are in our last round of action here in the Laughing Dragon Modern 20K. We were watching quite a matchup of Bant Martyr against Jeskai Dress Down in our day 2 winning in. We've got Greg Michael and Andrew Ellenbogen in the booth. Dress Down came into play. The Ranger Captain of EOS trigger has now fully resolved. Let's see how Jody chooses to play out the rest of the turn.
Yeah, so this Dress Down play is pretty interesting. I don't fully understand what's going on with it because, for instance, like, let's say that he's worried about Martyr. Well, the Martyr could be activated on Michael's turn after Jody Keith passes and Dress Down leaves the battlefield. So it's not really going to prevent that. Sorry,
Yeah.
we're having some technical issue. We're going to go back to the booth for just a second.
All right, and we're back. Thanks for sticking with us through that technical difficulty, but we're back where we left off. Andrew, can you remind me what was going on when we left off?
Right. So what happened is there was a Knight of Antiochus sacrificed by Jody. Michael responded to that by doing a bunch of stuff. The first one was casting Factory Vision. The Factory Vision piles were made. Factory Vision resolved. Dress Down was then cast. Following Dress Down's resolution, Jody is now playing out the rest of his turn, which was playing a fetch land, fetching a land, playing the Haywire Might, playing Martyr of Sands, and passing. So Jody's down to 1 from the fetch, but he will be able to go back up with Martyr of Sands, and Michael is essentially powerless to prevent it.
Yeah. Can't do it this turn as there's a Dress Down in play. Although I guess after the sacrifice happens.
Yeah. I guess
Here we go. Our first Martyr sacrifice. Let's see how much life is gained.
Well, he's actually starting with the Haywire Might, it looks like.
Excellent. Okay, getting rid of the ring, gaining 2. Maybe we're gonna hold on to the Martyr. Now that our life total is not quite so precarious. The classic limited play of block sacrifice to
I gotta show you as part of the
stop the Solitude attack.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure whether Jody wants to wait on that or not. He certainly can. But I'm not exactly sure what's being talked over here either, but it seems like they're just clarifying the game state. We're getting back to a normal state.
Yep. All right, draw a card. Let's see what Michael chooses to do. Does Michael have any tools to counter the ability of the Martyr of Sands in his library?
I think he does not.
Okay.
I think if Martyr goes on the stack, it's just going to resolve.
Okay.
I don't think there's any real tricks there.
Yeah.
Obviously, he can stop the card from resolving. That's a good strategy. But now that it's hit the battlefield, I think Jody Keith just basically always gets the life. And actually, this chump block here is going to be pretty relevant because Michael could flashback his Phlage with haste here.
Yeah.
But it's unclear if that's really worth doing, given that the Martyr chump. Although actually, I guess if he goes upstairs, maybe the Martyr has to sack in response.
Yeah.
And the Phlage gets to connect.
Yeah, Jody is at 3. So here's the Phlage on the battlefield for Michael. Let's see the target on that Lightning Helix ability.
I presume Michael said there is you.
Yeah.
His gesture was a little ambiguous, but I think that's what it meant.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 white cards.
So that's 18 life. Jody Keith will go up to 21.
All that hard work from Michael Nguyen to bring Jody down to 3 is undone in a moment.
Well, okay, but he does get to attack for 12.
That's true. Life totals are flying here in the final round of action in Houston.
Wait. When did you exert this?
Just now.
You never exerted it.
Yes, I said.
It looks like some clarification as to how that resolved itself.
Judge.
All right, we're going back to booth. There's another judge call happening
Okay.
to clarify how now we have the Arena of Glory incident.
I might have been misinformed. This appears to be the Arena of Glory exert incident. But
Yes.
All right, so
again, you're back in the booth with your hosts. I'm Greg, this is Andrew, and we're in our final match of Magic. We warned you that this Martyr of Sands match was going to go on, and
yeah, but not even we could have expected that there would be multiple judge calls slowing down the match and what's already an incredibly grindy matchup. So, you know, I hope you stick with us because I do think the gameplay is pretty good, even though there's a lot of nonsense happening.
Yep, and we're back. It looks like the ruling was that the exert did not happen, and Phlage had to stay home.
Well, that's a big deal because that's 9 life points saved for Jody and 3 life points lost for Michael for a total swing of 12 points.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what words were said. It's possible that Michael just like did his thing and said, by the way, this has haste, or it's possible I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But the ruling of the floor appears to be that the arena was not exerted, so
Yep.
the game proceeds.
All right, here's Savine's Reclamation to bring back a creature from the graveyard. This is a card that I believe was originally in a Commander deck, but made its way to Modern through Modern Horizons. Let's see what Jody chooses to bring back. Of course, bringing back the Martyr of Sands, always an option for him. Counterspell will stop Savine's Reclamation.
Yeah, that's a rather imperfect solution, though, because Savine will just get flashbacked.
Yes.
I mean, maybe not this turn, that's unclear, but, you know, it's...
All right, and of course, very helpful because of this Martyr. The hand is now face up for Jody Keith, and he's just, I think, with time being a real factor, he is choosing to play with his hands revealed, so Michael doesn't have to do any writing of anything down.
Yes, and we in coverage do appreciate that. I'm just going to give you a quick tip for everyone out there watching this. If you were ever on a feature match and your opponent knows cards in your hand, please just leave them up. Your casters will thank you.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
All right, is it time for Abiding Grace?
Sure.
There it is.
My turn, I can reanimate a 1-drop or I can gain a life.
Another tool for getting creatures back out of the graveyard. Let's see if we have another Martyr of Sands and therefore another huge chunk of life points for Jody Keith.
I mean, I imagine that's what Jody wants here. He could get something like the Fungi or the Haywire Mite back, but there's not any very clear targets for those. The draw on the Fungus doesn't seem that crucial right now. I think we're just going to see Martyr.
Yeah, I assume so as well. Let's see. There's a Hallowed Fountain. So that's what, Plains number 5? These Sky Ruins are looking, we're starting to get there. More planes in hand, and a blue source if we ever need to Supreme Verdict. All right, moving to discard.
But I think Michael's, at this point, starting to experience some problems. And partially because of the exert situation. The situation we've reached is, all right, so Jody has the ring. Michael doesn't.
Yeah.
Jody will never die to his ring. He's not even remotely close to that. And worse, those American Sky Ruins are about to be online.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how Michael is going to get out of this situation. But this is very bad for him. I think Jody is heavy favorite. Now, a weird aspect of this is, all right, all players know we are in game 1.
Yes.
So even if Jody is going to win this game, given enough turns, there's also risk that maybe Jody wins the game, but Michael doesn't concede, which obviously he's never right to do. Or maybe Jody wins the game, but then Michael wins game 2 quickly, and there's no time for game 3. Both players have to have the clock on their minds at this point.
Yep. And with all these judge calls, they've had certainly plenty of time to think about that. And also, you know, maybe the clock isn't exactly what it seems. You have to imagine that around the room, a lot of matches are finishing up here. With these 2 long judge calls. Feature matches start later anyway. So, yeah, quite an experience here. I will say, I'm not sure the 9 life off of Phlage is looking that important, given how the last 2 turns have shaped up.
Yeah, I agree. If Jody was at 7 here, with the game state being meaningfully different, the answer might be no.
Yeah.
But...
boss. Yeah.
All right, time to attack. Phlage trigger. Phlage trigger hits Martyr of Sands to take away this trump block. Martyr of Sands is sacrificed. Let's see how many of those cards are white.
So 18.
It's 6 out of 7. 18 more life points for Jody Keith, up to 34. An attack, though, is for 9, putting him down to 25. Really a lot of tests of our ability as casters to do math between the burn and this and the Vamp Martyr. Really, really testing our chops here.
Yeah, I mean, but God, I'm still very worried. I just don't see how this game is going to end. I mean, Michael has like 7 cards. Jody has like 7 cards. These Amarios are going to be online. Abiding Grace is going to trigger every turn. Like, how are we going to escape this purgatory? I don't I don't really see it.
I don't see it either, but the match will end one way or another after time expires. So.
Oh, that's certainly true. And I mean, I have no conception, because of all the judge calls and extensions, at this point, I have no idea how close we actually are to that time. I'm just saying it's got to be on the players' minds.
Absolutely. All right, a big turn here from Michael. We've got the ring, a new ring, 2 leyline bindings to answer both of Jody Keith's card advantage engines. Unsurprisingly, though, just as you said many turns ago, often when there's a ring with that many counters, that means there's another ring at the ring.
Yeah. It's one of the stronger aspects of the One Ring is that famously there's more than one.
Yeah. Okay, Eagles has been planes cycled, planes number 6 on the way in the form of Spara's headquarters.
Isn't that planes number 7? Or is there flagstones in there?
There's a flagstones.
Okay. So the are the Ameris not online yet then?
Yeah, they are not yet online.
Okay.
We are still 1 planes away. But look, I'm not imagining that this game is going to be over before Jody gets a chance to play planes number 7.
That does indeed seem unlikely. It's not often that you see a player where their plan against Phlage is, look, I'm just going to take the hit for a while. Yeah. It'll be okay. But that is in fact what Jody's doing. He's just like, yeah, I'll just take 9 for a bit. It's no big deal.
That's true. Here's a Skyclave apparition. A lot of those on stream today, really making a resurgence in Modern here at the end of this format.
Yeah, and Jody, I think logic here is pretty reasonable. Jody's ultimate win condition is at some point my Marys will start recurring creatures every turn of the game.
Yeah.
Once that happens, if Michael doesn't have a way to draw cards every turn, he will run out of resources at some point. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
There's no way he can prevent it. So by fighting over Michael's rings as much as possible, he just constantly brings him closer to that brink of running out of resources. Absolutely. And I know he still has plenty right this second, but trust me, in 3-4 turns, this is going to matter.
Yeah. So Michael has a lot to consider here. A full grip of hands for both players. Look, if you're a fan of decision-heavy Magic, you've definitely got some of that tonight here in this final match. The world is their oyster for both of these players. And there's a lot of mana tapped.
Hardcast Null Drifter? Anyone?
Wrath of the Skies, Hardcast Null Drifter it is. I believe it was exerted. Or sorry, the arena was exerted.
Oh no.
To give haste. We're going down on the plains, but this might be a bit of a... There's a Flagstones of Truth. There's a permanent that Jody's happy to sacrifice, and that'll turn on the Amarias as soon as next turn. We're considering him. It seems like Michael might have over-tapped.
I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, I think he did over-tap.
Okay.
Again, this is round 7. It's been a long day of Magic, and both players know that this game is nowhere close to over. So our players are doing their best. I think they're doing quite well, given the situation, maintaining the board state.
Yeah, anyone who's played one of these long Grand Prix style events knows that just by the end of the day, you are so done. You spent so many hours thinking about really, really complicated game states. There was no break for food. There's no breaks for relaxation, especially if you're playing decks like these that are very slow and take the whole round time. I totally get the small errors here.
Absolutely. All right, well, this is a blessing and curse. Skyclave apparition going to the bin, and the Annihilator trigger. I think Andrew. I think we're about to see some Amarias.
Right, because the flagstones being sacked is actually more of an upside.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure. Possible Michael should not have exerted his arena here?
Yeah, interesting.
Because the Annihilator exactly this turn is something of a downside, even though it will be an advantage on every subsequent turn.
Absolutely. It's wild how many Annihilator triggers have happened in this game. This is like the 5th Annihilator 1 trigger. If you're just tuning in and you're like, this game seems like it's been going on for a while, you don't even know.
Yeah, I do like the secret piece information that Jody's also sacked multiple lands so far, and is about to enable his 2 Amarias. But yes, so we go to Jody's turn. The Amaria triggers are finally online. He'll lose 1 life to the ring, and 2 creatures will come back.
Absolutely. Let's see. It looks like maybe a White Orchid Phantom is going to hit that Arena of Glory. And we're hearing in chat, we're 38 minutes into the match, so we're well over halfway with the match, and this game one has some time left in it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jody here is pretty soon going to start the ultimate endgame, wherein he White Phantoms all of the non-basic lands away until Michael has no lands left, and Michael's cards almost cease to be relevant as he will be unable to cast very many of them per turn.
Wow.
This is something that used to happen in like old legacy matches where sometimes the lands deck would wasteland or ghost quarter every land the opponent had. That's, I imagine, what we're building towards. I don't know if Jody's going to start the Stone Rains this turn, but believe me, they are coming.
It looks like Solitude to start things off. We got quite a lot of life points going on. Seems like around 60 life points between the two players, and almost every creature on the board has life link.
Well, see, an important fact about both Phlage and Solitude is Phlage triggers are a net neutral in terms of life.
Yes.
Solitude attacking is also net neutral in terms of life, unless it's blocked, in which case it's net positive.
Yeah.
So basically what I'm saying is the total life points in the game will mostly have a tendency to trend upwards.
Yeah. All right, so here we see an Abiding Grace met with a counter spell from Michael Nguyen, able to stop some of the creatures coming back, but of course these Amarias are going to keep going. Kami of False Hope has entered the battlefield. Tell me about that one, Andrew.
Yeah, so Michael might falsely hope that he can win this game, but he cannot.
Yeah.
Now, he might correctly hope that he can draw the game, but that eliminates both players, so it's unclear. Libraries are being counted? Yeah, this is a nice one.
Oh, man, here we go. You love to see the library count.
Yeah, so I don't have a sense of what the library counts were there. I didn't get a close enough look at it. I suspect that Jody has drawn more cards than Michael, but I'm definitely not sure of that.
Wow, I was going to say the opposite. I suspect Michael has drawn more cards. With all these Null Drifters, they've both had rings. Don't forget that Factor Fiction was 5 cards off the top.
Yeah, maybe Michael has. Oh, yeah. Man. It could definitely come up, though, because although Jody will definitely win this game eventually, there's a question of eventually is too slow.
Yeah. Tell me about the advantage bar, in your opinion.
Yeah, I have no idea who has the advantage right now.
I mean,
the game state is too weird.
It seems like Jody has to be advantaged with these Amarias. And just like such a diverse range of threats in the graveyard to come back.
Well, but what if Jody is winning but has... What if I'm right that Jody's those cards later? Which I'm not that sure of, for sure. But let's say that we knew that Jody had a card or two less, right?
Yeah.
So then, I don't know, do you really think he can work through 34 life points before he decks?
There are Eagles in there, okay? We can get back the Eagles with the Amarias.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess I want to also address something else. Another fact players might at this point, so they know they're 38 minutes in. I mean, they don't know because of the extensions, but they probably just sense that they're roughly 38 minutes in. So there's also a concern, let's say you're the Jeskai player, of, look, if I lose this game, I won't have time to finish game 2.
Absolutely.
So therefore, I have to hope I can play to win this game because I just don't think I'm going to have time for another one.
Yep, and Jody's deck is very good at stalling out if we end up in game 2.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Even if you were to concede this game and win game 2 quickly, you'd still have to win game 3 in just very little time.
Okay, it's time for our second Amaria triggers. Let's see what's coming back. A Skyclave Apparition has been pulled to the front for Jody Keith. That could answer the one ring that Michael has played. And is it time for some land destruction? All right, it ended up being Ranger Captain of Eos. Let's see the 1-drop he finds. I think he might... Ranger Captain of Eos is interesting with Amaria. You can start a bit of a lock where you prevent your opponent from casting spells ever. Casting non-creature spells ever.
I think that's Jody's angle. I think his plan is the fastest way to win the game here is to just attack Michael with all my creatures every turn. And to facilitate that, I'm going to make sure he cannot ever stop me with something like Supreme Verdict, can't buy a turn with Wrath of God. I'm just going to put him in the hard lock where Nine Ringo stops him casting any spells.
Yeah.
That's at least my guess as to Jody's plan.
Yep, that does seem like where this game is headed.
Okay, so
Let's
Eagles
see a
of the
lot of
North.
mana being tapped from Jody. This
What it
is
does?
hard
Comes to
cast
play, it's
Eagles
require.
of
Wanna
the
come to play,
North.
want my
Oh,
team.
man.
All right,
They're not the Eagles of the West. They're not the Eagles of the South, Greg. They are the Eagles of the North, and they are pumping this team up.
They are. They Oh man, what a doozy we've got
Targeting
here.
Solitude.
All right, it looks like, let's see, another Solitudes are trading. One good Solitude deserves another here.
Well, see, solitude the opponent's solitude in this spot is actually a pretty big game because
And they have
if you
first
just
strike,
block the solitude, Jody will just bring them back and exile another creature. But if
Yeah.
you exile them, now you're talking. That does actually permanently remove the threat.
Kami of False Hope getting it for 2 here in 2024 Modern.
Wait,
35.
isn't it for because of the
Because
night?
the
Eagles,
Eagles,
right? Yeah,
Eagles
right.
pumped it, if I recall correctly.
No,
And
no.
it's not easy to block with the first strike from the Eagles. This is an attack for 10.
All right, all right.
38 life points are a lot, but we're down to 28 life points for Michael. Jody Keith officially has the life total advantage. I wonder how many times that's changed.
Yeah, let's not get into that. It's a lot of times.
Yeah.
Man,
Sorry.
all right. So
You're at 38.
I think this marathon of a turn from Jody Keith is almost over. We've almost taken the final actions of this turn.
I also like that he just had the option to Skyclave Apparition this ring and was like, nah. Oh, Michael has ring protection.
Oh, that is true.
Interesting.
Okay.
I think we and chat, they both admit, we missed it, Jody Keith missed it, everyone
Yeah.
missed it.
I'll take one.
All right.
Yeah.
Weird.
Interesting. It might be the life total did update. It might be that the trigger was missed. Because if you attack and your opponent takes it, nope, never mind. It's been reset.
All right.
And yeah, Jody didn't gain any life too, which is another hint.
My guess is, so the life totals we see, by the way, are actually done by the players at the table.
Mhm.
So my guess is there was attack, the players up there, and they're like, wait, that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Right.
But fair enough.
Yeah.
So Michael remains at 37.
Oh man, chat.
Quite the game. Now, I believe there is another Eagles of the North in the graveyard that was land cycled.
Yeah, I think maybe multiple actually.
So Jody could set up some sort of overrun turn, but he'd sort of rather do that like later in his Ameria Ing, perhaps.
Yeah.
You know, you build up the widest board possible, then you overrun for the maximum.
Yeah. I mean, 37 is quite a lot of life points to work through with this this dinky board of Solitudes and Kamis of False Hope.
Yeah. Also, remember, Michael could still use more rings to gain protection again. He could still play more Solitudes to block. He could also Wrath of the Skies, which won't accomplish anything in the long run, but it will buy him crucial time.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, what you can see here is that he's using the ring. That makes me think his library is smaller, Michael Nguyen at least, because Jody is waiting on the ring, I think, to preserve library advantage. I don't know if you look at that library over there. That does not look like it has that many cards in it.
Yes, it does not, for sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think the library count is waning from Michael, and it seems kind of like he might be losing on kind of every access. I guess, to be fair, he is 12 points ahead in the life race.
He's only losing on the important axes.
Yeah. Cards in library.
Oh my god, it's a completely absurd game.
Yeah,
And I believe Jody did sack the Ranger, so he is doing the full lot.
That's exactly correct. There aren't going to be any non-creature spells cast from Michael this turn. He does have Minamo to use his ring again, but as we just said, that's a blessing and a curse.
Okay, Greg, I want to bring up an important topic. now.
Okay, please do.
We're deep into the nonsense at this point in the game. It's time for some key discussions.
Yeah, tell me.
So, if you had to guess, do you think that the Martyr versus Jeskai dress down matchups might be sub 50% for both players?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to bring it up. It seems like both players might be unfavored.
I think draw might be favored.
Yeah. I'm with you. It seems like draw might have a good matchup against both of them.
Yeah, and the players have smiles on their faces. They realize, we all realize the ridiculousness of the situation. The dragons are laughing here in the final round of the tournament.
Oh yeah, really appropriate for the MXP Laughing Dragon opening. Yeah.
Oh, okay, what do we got? We're gonna see some more areas. Let's see what we select this time. Oh, Jody has kindly put 15 on top of his library to let us know here there are 15 cards to work with.
Okay, so Michael's library looks less than 15.
I would guess less than 15, yeah.
So I think Jody's plan is to deck Michael.
Yeah, and we see that the ring was not used by Jody. We're making some decisions on these two areas.
Yeah, one thing is I do think Jody's going perhaps a bit slow. Like if you're Jody here, I think you kind of need to speed up because you know you're winning.
Yeah.
And now I understand that he's got a lot to consider and it's a tough spot.
Oh, is that 36 cards in library?
Oh, wow.
Oh, maybe it's 9. It's the 3 and the 6 is we're adding them together, not concatenating. Yeah, okay. I believe 9 cards are left in Michael's library. So
right, so you were indeed right. He was using the ring because he was already behind on library size.
Yep, down to 14 cards in library. I gotta say, in a game that's going slow, needing to adjust the dice every time someone draws a card is not gonna speed up the magic that we're watching, if I'm being honest. More Eagles of the North have come down, one off the Ameria, along with a Haywire Might to answer this ring. No Ranger Captain of Eos this time. So Michael will be freed to cast some spells. Let's see if he finds one of his Wraths. That could really reset the board.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the board kind of doesn't matter though. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, Manamo is being used along with the ring. 3 cards drawn down to 6 for Michael. Let's see what he's looking for and if he finds it.
Yeah, I don't really understand what his plan is with these cards. I'm gonna be honest.
Counter spells, null director. He kind of has whatever he wants in his library at his disposal, it seems, but I'm not sure that that's enough. Teferi, Wraths, Leyline Binding, Solitude. He's got it all lined up, but
I mean, I don't see any way. I mean, I can double check the deck list, but I don't think he has some way to avert decking. You know, the old school modern Jeskai decks could tuck Teferi, big Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, to itself repeatedly to kind of avoid decking indefinitely.
Yeah.
But the modern lists obviously don't play that card. It's too clunky, not really powerful enough for the format anymore.
It wasn't in a Modern Horizon set, so
yeah, that's one of his main downsides. And little Teferi is no help. I mean, I don't see any way for him to achieve victory. I think he's just going to get decked. And see, I don't know if Michael has kind of accepted this yet. I don't know if he's accepted his fate. I think the game is actually between Jody and the clock.
Yes.
And I'm not sure who's favored, but that's what I think the game is about.
We see Solitude hitting did Solitude hit an Eagles of the North?
I think so.
Oh, yeah. And I think there was an Ephemerate in response.
From Jody?
Yeah. That looks like an Ephemerate at the bottom of our screen. And it looks like it's in exile ready to be rebound. MTG Melee calls this deck Bant Blink, and now we're seeing Ephemerate, the part of the deck that gives it that name.
Yes. Now, all right. So I just want to discuss what's going on in the game a little bit. I think it's kind of weird.
Okay, tell me about it.
Here's why I think it's weird. So Jody is making a lot of decisions and taking a lot of like clock time to like attack.
Yeah.
Like Jody's clearly trying to like race the clock with combat. I'm not sure that's the right approach. Like, I sort of think if you're Jody, maybe the best maneuver is to completely ignore the board, take your turns as quickly as possible, and try to optimize clock equity.
Yeah, playing at random, you say.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm worried Jody, his approach to this game is trying to win by combat, and I'm worried that's the wrong approach.
Yeah. So we saw a Haywire Might get rid of the Leyline Binding with the Abiding Grace under it. That immediately brought back the Haywire Might. More creature recursion, more resources from Jody Keith. It's really hard to imagine what victory looks like from Michael at this point.
He needs to convince Jody to draw about 10 cards.
Yeah, maybe use the ring a few times just for fun.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not going to be in the format that much longer, we think. You got to get while the getting's good on this, the One Ring card.
Yeah, agreed. Very much agreed.
I also like Jody Keith just being like, you can cast whatever non-creature spells you want. I don't think they particularly matter. I think a life loss trigger off the ring might have been missed, and both players are kind of shaking their head, realizing that couldn't really matter less, and adjusting the life points.
Yeah, like Michael went down to 16 here, and sure, that's kind of low, but all right, so now he's setting the Solitude. He's going to gain 9 more life points, and then I suspect, given he's making this attack, followed up with a Wrath of some sort.
Yeah.
And
look, this is these creatures going to the bin means they can come back. Although it looks like the Kami of False Hope was sacrificed to prevent all combat damage. Here we go, a fog sighting here in the final round of Modern tonight.
Oh man, this has been quite the round end.
Wow, yeah, it's this is not what I was expecting, but it's been quite a ride. Really getting your money's worth here at the end of today's stream. We're thinking it might be a Null Drifter.
I mean, I think it might just be a Wrath Disguise for like a lot.
Oh yeah,
but I'm not sure. I let me be clear. I'm not certain Michael has Wrath Disguise left, in deck, but I think he's only played 2 of his 3.
Okay.
So I think he has a third, and maybe has drawn it, because that would make the Solitude deck make sense. Like I feel like would tile decisions together.
Yeah.
But I can't swear to it.
Yep. Here we see a 14. If you're wondering about Jody's library, I think that 1 is to remind him of his Ephemerate rebound trigger that he's gonna get.
Classic the 14 and the 1.
Yeah.
You gotta have it all.
Yep. We're confirming deck sizes here. 5 cards indeed. Jody can just sit back and chill as Michael, with all the options in the world, thinks about what he's gonna do to close out this game. So Jody has 4 match wins, 1 match loss, and 1 match draw. How many games do you think he's won today?
Yeah, that is a good question.
It might be 5.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine there are matches where people reach a point where they're certain they can no longer win. I imagine if you're playing against Energy, for example, you reach a stage of the game where your opponent does not want to continue pretty quickly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But I don't know. I can't say for sure.
Yeah, and here it is. As you predicted, all that mana meant Wrath of the Skies.
All right, so we're going to sacrifice Tayware Might. We're going to destroy...
Leyline Binding, it looks like? Nope, the One Ring.
All right, the One Ring is exiled.
Yeah, hard to imagine that was going to be used again, but it's hard to know for sure.
Now I presume the Wrath of the Sky is going to resolve.
Yeah.
Maybe Joe's going to do something else first, but I think it is.
Man, remember when we were watching Burn and there were 4 total permanents on the battlefield?
Those were the days. Right. As part of this, there's a Leyline Binding that's going to be destroyed. Jody's going to get back a fresh One Ring.
Yep.
His old ring is going to destroy the graveyard due to the Legend rule. The board's going to be completely cleaned up. And presumably we'll go to Jody's turn?
Yeah. Here, Eagles costing 6 was big. It forced the action on that Wrath of the Skies, making this ring coming back. Jody hasn't activated the card Martyr of Sands as many times as I was expecting. I think it's only been done twice.
Yeah. Well, that's, maybe we should rename the deck, Greg. It doesn't seem that Martyr themed.
Yeah, Bant Blink is the name, yeah. Okay, so what does Jody have in store? I think he's deciding his Emeria targets.
Yeah,
I mean, a Ranger Captain of Eos.
Okay, so we are in turns.
We are in turns in game 1. The mill plan is offline for Jody Keith, as there aren't going to be 5 more turns. So man, this is a wild situation. I criticize Jody for going in this beatdown line. Maybe he's going to be punished, but on the other hand, I don't know. This is a pretty quick clock. Yeah.
He backs 2 of these things.
Michael's only at 16.
And then we're going to get the question of, all right, so is Jody going to sack one of them?
Yes, that's a lot of it, the power on the board. It looks like a fungus has been found, and it looks like maybe we're not keeping track of cards in library anymore. Feels like that the relevance of that aspect of the game has kind of run its course.
Yep, agreed. And on the sack thing, here's why I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
So if Michael has another One Ring or another Wrath Skies or something of that nature, I'm not up on what cards left in his library, so I don't know if he does or not, but Jody probably does.
Yeah.
Then just one of those buying Michael an entire turn is a huge game.
Yeah.
And you almost have to prevent it if you want to win. But on the other hand, I'm worried that you can't beat one of those cards very easily.
Yeah.
Because you just kind of need, this is turn 1, you need your attack on turn 3 and turn 5 to win.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you can do it all at once. And if that's true, then maybe you have to hope that somehow whatever he has left is within the 5 cards that he hasn't drawn yet.
Yeah, there's a Martyr of Sands on the battlefield. Jody doesn't need to gain any more life. We're playing this as an attacker. Get in there, Martyr of Sands. Every point counts to close out this game in time.
All right.
What's the green card in Jody's hand? As an excellent question for chat. That's Insidious Fungus is the 1-drop of choice. The reason we're playing green, an excellent card with Abiding Grace.
That is a fungus among us.
Yes, it is a fungus. There's that fungus has moved around into a lot of different zones in this game.
Look, Jody's deck is pretty zone themed.
Yeah, definitely.
There's sometimes cards go to exile and then they return, and sometimes they go to the graveyard and return.
Yeah.
And sometimes they go from the library to the hand, and
yeah.
There's really all the movements are involved.
Yeah. All right, it's turn number 2. Jody wasn't able to attack. Let's see what Michael has. 4 cards in library.
He has sacked a knight though. Or he sacked.
Yes, he did sack a knight. Yes, that's correct.
So Michael won't be able to one-ring this turn. He won't be able to wrath. Jody will get a clean attack with his remaining 4 creatures and some number of eagles of some direction.
Yeah. Notably, by the way, that ephemerate we were talking about before, we didn't say it, but it was blinked by the since the wrath happened, all the creatures were gone, so the ephemerate had no legal targets. All right, I think a particular Titan is about to make her way back to the battlefield from the graveyard, escaping the Theros underworld.
Yes, and Phlage, I don't know, it's a pretty large blocker. It also can kill one of these attackers and gain 3, and also, crucially, it dodges Knight Protection.
Yeah. So let's see what it's gonna do. I imagine Michael might have a Null Drifter that he's unable to cast as he can't really afford to draw 2 cards.
Well, at this point, I think he can, though, right?
I guess that's right, yeah.
He only has 4 cards left. He only has 2 turns left. I think he can cast Null Drifter here as a blocker if he needs to.
Yeah.
I believe he's been through 2 Null Drifters this game, so there should be 1 left between his hand and deck.
I think I saw it in his hand when we flashed by, but
3, 6, 7, yeah, and he has enough mana. I think that might well be what we see here.
Yeah.
Although I think Michael's currently just thinking through what he's targeting with the Phlage.
Yeah. Do you think how much mind effort do you think the players are on the end of game conversation? If this game goes to a draw, they might have to make some discussion about
concession. Yeah.
Good
question. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's valid. What I will say is I don't know how much goodwill Michael has for Jody after those judge calls.
Interesting. That's true.
I didn't hear any discussion from the players. I'm not saying for sure. I'm just saying I think it's often the case that judge calls can sour a player's attitude on their opponent, but maybe it was handled very well and all it was totally polite. I don't know.
Yep.
It's certainly got to be a factor.
But with a Solitude flashed in, this attack is starting to look mighty.
25 is the number to hit.
Yeah, I guess 25 with the 3 off Phlage and then more off Phlage from the Solitude. Solitude's, I guess, a mixed bag as far as damage goes. Don't forget that ring trigger, Jody, down to 32.
So this is 5, 8, 13, 19, 22.
I don't know about you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know about you. I think this attack from Jody is not lethal. I believe we know the location of all 4 eagles, so I don't think there's a chance of another eagle making it lethal.
Yes.
Although, additionally, notably, Michael could have interaction.
Yeah. Okay, another Ranger Captain has come down. It's gonna get countered.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting.
Hard to imagine that counterspell hitting much if the Ranger was allowed to stick around. So here's the big attack.
Well, perhaps Michael's plan is this. Perhaps Michael's plan is he's going to counter that Ranger. He's going to somehow remove the other Ranger in combat.
Yeah.
Then he's going to untap and play the 1 ring of Wrathis guys, and then that's checkmate.
Yep. Leyline Binding here, as discussed a long time ago with these white orchid phantoms removing the land. This is 3 mana for Leyline Binding. Not at its best with all this land destruction that's happened in this game.
Yeah, although notably, Jody can, with the Leyline Binding trigger on the stack, sack the fungus to kill the Leyline, which will keep his creature in play.
Yes.
Whenever your opponent casts one of these new school O-rings on your thing, you can choose to let it resolve, then kill your O-ring, then get your thing back. But you can also choose to just never let your thing leave the battlefield.
Interesting. Jody thinking about letting it resolve, maybe sacrificing this Knight Errant. A lot of options. Really taking his time. Now, something you should realize is that now the time has been called. The players have all the time in the world to think. They might have been kind of zooming through turns to try and get the game done. But once time gets called, there's no more time pressure. You can really chill and take your time and really think out the last few turns of the game.
Yes, absolutely. I think there's very commonly kind of an effect where once the turns are hit, players very intentionally like take a breath, slow down, try not to screw anything up in the crucial last 5 turns.
Yeah. You've done all you can speed wise once time is called. All right, so we maybe missed it, but an Ephemerate saved the Ranger Captain of Eos from the Leyline Binding, but that means it doesn't get in for damage. But Michael down to 10. With a Ranger ready to go, we're not going to be casting any non-creature spells. It kind of looks like Jody is just going to eke this out in turn 5 of extra turns.
Yeah, if Michael has nothing else, I think that's true.
All right, we are resolving our Ranger trigger, checking for any more 1-drops in our incredibly small library.
Yeah, there are none. Spoiler.
Well, yeah, I mean, or we failed to find, but having a bit of fun with the cut there from Michael. All right, here we go. One way or another, it's about to be Michael's last turn of the game. It's played Skyclave Apparition in its rare Gray Ogre mode.
All right, so we go to Michael's
For the
turn.
beatdown. It's turn 4.
Wait, what happened to the Knight Errant?
I think it was sacrificed
okay.
in the upkeep.
Okay, cool. So it's sacrificed and upkeep. So the question is there some way for Michael to survive despite the Ranger Captain's effect?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of cards that can't be cast, but there is a Phlage.
Okay, I mean, Phlage on its own might do it.
Yeah.
So wait, let's think this through. So he can cast Phlage, kill one of the things, gain 3 life to 13. Flashback Phlage, gain 3 more life to 16. Now he has a blocker as well. So 16 life and 1 blocker, is that enough? It's close. It might be.
It might be. Let's see. I think it's fair that Andrew's getting a lot of flack from chat for referring to this as checkmate.
Yeah, when I say checkmate, what I maybe should say is stalemate. But yeah, it is a bit of... Additionally, none of that is actually coming to pass. He's going to have to do it the hard way.
Yep. Yeah. Do you think do you think this Martyr deck will have any hopes of sticking around once the One Ring is banned? It does seem like a really key part of the deck's game plan.
Yeah, I'm skeptical.
Because Martyr did exist pre the One Ring, right?
Barely.
Okay.
I do not think Martyr will stick around post One Ring.
All right.
I'm not that sure we'll stick around pre One Ring.
Oh, fair.
So that's my answer. But
yeah. All right, Michael has to do the math that we're all procrastinating on.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's mostly figuring out the right creatures to target. And that's kind of just threading a needle here where he does not want to destroy any of the eagles because then they can come back for the overrun.
Yep.
So he's going after the largest non-eagle creatures, essentially.
Yep.
Additionally, there's some discussion as well where, like, if he hits Skyclave, then Jody can exile your blocker without gaining you life. Solitude's not a problem if it gives you the 6 life, mission accomplished.
Yep. All right. This has been a long game, but this is turn 5 of extra turns. We're going to reach some sort of conclusion at the end of this turn. The end has not seemed in sight for a long time, and I gotta say, the end is in sight. What will happen? How can Jody Keith get these 16 points down from his opponent?
think it's going to be close.
I think it's going to be close too. Notably, a Solitude could remove Phlage, but that gains Michael 6 life.
Yeah. Also, are there 2 more Eagles in the bin?
I see at least one. Also, Ranger hasn't been activated. Michael can cast spells.
Oh, that is true. I don't know how many instants he has left, but
I mean, I think I saw at least a counter spell.
it's just that, like, okay, let's say he had a removal spell of some sort.
Yeah.
My expectation is that Michael would have played that removal spell on Jody's previous end step.
Yeah.
He could then Wrath on his last turn of the game. Because he didn't do that, my belief is that Michael does not have any cards capable of removing a creature from the battlefield.
Yeah.
On spells in the stack, fair game, totally. But I think this will happen.
There's a lot in the upkeep going on here. We've got an ephemerate, we got a rebound trigger, we've got some Emerias, of course, the crucial 3 life points that Jody is gonna lose to go down to 36. I think because rebound is a trigger.
Yes.
I think you can ephemerate. That's going to be what gets countered. So no blinking the eagle, but it kind of looks like this one eagle is going to be enough.
4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
No way.
It looks to me like
Jody
wait.
Look at that in hand. I see it. It's another Eagles of the North.
Wow.
Jody was digging a bit. It seems like he was digging for the 4th eagle. All 4 eagles on the board. Go to combat. Attack for so this should be 20.
I mean, I think if Michael has nothing, this is lethal.
Yeah, but I think Solitude will save him.
I mean, I think if Michael can interact in basically any way, which maybe is just Solitude, but anything that moves a creature on the battlefield will be enough for Michael. He
and
does
there's
not have
the
it.
handshake after all that. Game 1 goes to Jody on turn 5 of extra turns, which means he is the winner of the match, and he will be advancing to day 2 with his Bant Martyr deck.